Is this what it's like when you drive an all-in-one sprint car in iRacing? Well, if it is, then you're in luck, because in this video, I'm going to show you a couple of setups that you can actually use on these cars that will not only make them fast, but much easier to drive and way more comfortable. So all of that and more right after this. What's up, everybody? Thomas Brandon here. Welcome to another School of Sim Racing video. Now, really quick, do me a favor. If you have not subscribed, do it now. Make sure that you subscribe and also make sure that you hit that notification bell, because I'm going to be putting out a ton of content on not only these cars, but also with the late models coming up. I've got another late model, I've got another masterclass that's going to be starting here in just a couple of weeks. And when I'm going to be doing that in my private group, I'm also going to share some of those videos here on the YouTube channel. So if you are interested in that, head over to Facebook, sign up for the School of Sim Racing private group, but also make sure that you like and subscribe this video so you make sure to get notified when I put out any other videos. Now, really quick, after I did the video on how to drive these things, I had quite a few people ask me, hey, that's awesome, how do I set these things up? And I've even had a lot of people who've sent me messages or comments down below the videos saying things like, hey, look, that's great, I'm glad that you shared your knowledge, but a lot of it is, being fast is, it's 80% driver, it's not the setup. And I will agree with that to an extent. I have done a massive amount of testing. I have probably tested more on dirt in the last month than most people will do in a lifetime. That is no exaggeration. Probably somewhere around 3,000 laps, and I'm not exaggerating. I've done a ton of testing. Now, when it comes to these cars, what makes these cars fast is your ability to be comfortable in these cars. You've got to be comfortable in these things. And a lot of people have a really hard time being comfortable in these cars because they can't figure out a setup that will help them be able to stay smooth and consistent on the track. And so I'm going to show you a couple of setups that you can actually use. Now, make sure that you get a pen and a paper so you can write this stuff down, all right? Yes, I'm going to have the setups linked down in the description below, but I'm not going to have the adjustments that I'm going to cover. So you need to make sure to write those down, okay? Please write them down. Because yes, you can leave a comment or message me or something like that, but I am super busy right now. There is no guarantee that I'm going to get back to you like when you need the answer. So please write down this stuff, all right? But let's get into the first setup. Now, the first setup is, and I actually need to save these really quick. The first setup is actually really simple, and it's pretty close to a lot of the other setups that I use. This is, for you, I'll have this labeled differently, but this will be labeled SSR, 410 linear base 1, all right? And it'll be base 1S, or excuse me, base 1, just base 1. I'm sorry, just base 1, because there's base setups for tacky tracks, average tracks, like mid-level tracks in terms of usage, and then slick tracks. And I'm going to show you a base 1 for the tacky, a base 1 for when it starts to get slick, like around heat races and stuff like that. I'll show you how to adjust the car, and then also for the slick track, okay? And keep in mind, although I'm showing you this on linear, this base setup, you can use it on any track. You just have to change the stagger and the gear ratio. That's it, okay? It's all you have to do, and the adjustments apply on every track, all right? So, first thing, we've got tire pressures in the back. We got 12, 11, 10, 8, and 12 inches of stagger. Really simple, very similar to what we would run in a wing car. Wing car, we'd run more stagger, but pretty close, okay? The left front bar, we have it at 1,000. The left front torsion bar is all the way up. The left front bar will always be up, as high as you can get it, okay? If I could put 10 turns into that left front bar, I would do it. It's always all the way up. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's up, okay? So 1,000 on the torsion bar, 3 turns all the way up. On the shock, you've got a 4 on the bump, a 6 on the rebound. On the right front, we've got a 1050 bar, 0 turns, it's flat on the torsion bar, and we have a straight 5 shock on the right front. So we have a 5 on the bump, 5 on the rebound. Left rear, 1,000 bar. Torsion bar stop is at 125. Pay attention to the ride height. We have it at 12 inches, okay, the tube height here. And the bump is 3 and the rebound is 9. Wheel spacing is 1350. On the right rear, we have a 1025 bar. We have 2 1/4 turns. The ride height is at 1366, okay? And the bump is 5 and the rebound is 5 and the wheel spacing is at 20.5 inches. And right now, since we're in the 410s, I'm just doing 10 gallons of fuel and the rear end is at 522. Also, my front toe, I would like it to be at 6/16. Okay, so this is base setup number 1. Now, really quick, you're going to notice that this setup actually handles pretty easy. And it's really, really smooth. And if you watch the video on how to drive these things, then you already know that, hey, you know, it's not actually that difficult once you have a decent setup. The key thing that you need to realize is that, and I'm going to actually turn this down some real quick so it's not so loud. The key thing that you got to realize is that you just got to be smooth with the throttle for these cars, right? So we're going to roll out, get it set, right? And then we just roll back in. Now, when we do this at speed, it's actually much easier. Oh, I say that and then I over-rotate the car. Let's try that again, shall we? So you just nice and easy in and out of the corner. And you just want to roll in and out of the throttle. And you can see that the car will pretty much go wherever I want it to. Now we're on about a 10 or 15% track right now. It's not super slick. All right. But it's when you're working with base setups, when you're trying to establish a baseline, you don't want it to be super slick. You want a nice, you know, somewhat fresh track so you know what you're working with, okay? So that is the base setup number 1, all right? Now, our next base setup is going to be for when the track starts to get slick. So this would be like the heat races, okay? Your adjustments for these cars are pretty similar to what we would do on the wing sprint cars. It's pretty standard. So you might want to take out some stagger, right? Maybe a 1/2 inch, maybe an inch, depending on how quickly the track is slicking off. I usually like to go somewhere around a 1/2 inch on my first adjustment. When it comes to the bars and the shocks, I'm going to basically leave all of that stuff alone. I'm not going to mess with it. I'll move the wheel spacing in maybe a 1/2 inch on the right rear, and then I might move the left rear out a 1/4 inch, and that's pretty much it. Not going to change anything else. Always want to make sure that we reset our ride heights. Now, in this sense, it didn't change. I mean, nothing really moved, so we're good. Now, if the track starts to really slick off, okay, some adjustments, other adjustments that you can make is, number 1 is you can go to a stiffer bar on the left front. That'll help you get more bite on the right rear, okay? Another thing that you can do is that you can actually lower the rebound here on the left front. What that will do is after you get into the corner, when you get back on the throttle, it'll allow more of that weight to transfer to the right rear so you can hook up that right rear tire. Remember, with these cars, you are driving, the right rear is everything. It's not like the winged car where you're squatting down on that left side, on that left rear, and you're basically just hammer down, you know, on a rail within a 10th lap after lap after lap. These things, when you're getting on the throttle, yes, they're driving off on the right rear, but the left rear, but the right rear is the most important wheel on these cars, okay? You got to make sure that you are hooking that bad boy up. If you're not, you're going to be screwed, okay? As you can see, I'm running 45% cross weight, not a lot of cross weight on this car. When the car feels twitchy, all right, you want to take cross weight out of it, okay? It's particularly with this right front. The higher up that you make that right front, the more twitchy the car is going to be, okay? And so those are some simple adjustments that you can make for a slick track, okay, or for the heat race, right, to make like around an average setup, okay? When I say average, we're talking like 20-30% in terms of how slick the track is. Now, what about when the track gets really dry slick, like feature setup? Well, let's actually head over to a dry slick track so I can show you that. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got a track now that's starting to slick off. And if we go out and we actually just turn some laps here, using our setup that we just talked about, you're going to see that it's still going to handle, but it's not going to be what we really want, right? I'm really having to play with that throttle. Oops, I didn't get back into the gas early enough. I'm really having to roll in and out of the throttle because it's starting to slick off. You know, you can see we're starting to slide up a little bit. The car's not wanting to get planted as we go into the corner. I'm also hitting the wall. All right, so it's serviceable, but it's not where we want it to be. Okay, we can make this much, much better. So let's do that. Now, keep in mind, down in the comments below, all right, because I know some people are going to ask me, hey, where's the setups? You're going to have the base, which is for the start of the night, and then you're going to have the feature, which is for like the end of the night. The stuff in between, that's the adjustments that you have to make, okay, the setup you have to make. That's why I said make sure you got some notes, okay? Make sure you're writing this stuff down. So how do we actually make this thing for a slick track? Well, first of all, I actually load up my linear feature here. Oh, where did it go? I guess I need to find it. Where did that go? Well, okay. Apparently I lost it. That's okay. We'll just make a new one. So, first thing, we're going to take the stagger down to 11 inches. Pretty much, we don't need much more than 11 inches, especially on this track. It's still got some tight corners, but 11 inches is plenty, all right? Next, the thing that we're going to do here is we're going to actually raise up that left front. We're going to put a stiffer bar on the left front. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a stiffer bar in the left rear, and then we're going to put a softer bar in the right rear. We're going to run reverse split in the car. What this does is when the car goes into the corner and when you actually pitch it in, what it does is now it's going to actually just plant that right rear, right into the ground. You're going to see it when I actually go into the corner here, that this thing's going to roll over and it's just going to, boom, go down. And it's going to hook the car up really, really nice. Another thing that it does is when you have reverse split, you've got the stiffer bar and the softer bar. When you look at it on a banked track, it actually keeps the car more level. So it really does a couple of different things, okay? Now, we're going to change our shock as well. We're going to put a 4.3 on the left front. On the right front, we're going to put a 5.3, all right? Now, on the right rear, we're going to put a 5.6. We're going to bring in the right rear to 1975. And then on the left rear, we're going to actually just make it a 3.8, and we're going to move that out to 14, okay? Now, one last thing. We've got to fix our corner weights here and our ride heights. Plus, let's also not forget that we need more fuel, right? We probably need like, 20 gallons in this thing or something. So, we got to compensate for that. And at this track, right, slick track, we want to have, I would say, 13.5, right, 13.5 to 12 to 12 or 12.1. That would be ideal for our ride height. You can see we're 13.4 and 12.07. Actually, I would bet that we probably only need 19 gallons of fuel, but you know what? Make sure you test this, all right? Do a fuel run. Don't just take my word for it and go out and try to run a 30-lap feature and be like, oh, Tommy, I ran out of gas. You cost me a victory. Always test it yourself, okay? So, let's take a look at how this thing handles. Now, you can see the damn thing don't even want to turn right out of the pits. Granted, I'm not supposed to go that way, but that's okay. Anyways, so let's try her out. Now, you can see how it rolls over on the right rear? I can really get back into the throttle a lot quicker. Now you got to make sure that you catch these cars really, really quick. And be nice and smooth with them. Like that. If you pitch it too hard, like I just did there, just roll out of the throttle, let it catch the traction, and then get back into the gas. Oops, that's okay. That's just a racing stripe. All right. And there you have it. That right there is a very simple and very effective way of starting out with a base setup. And I mean, I'm going to save this as the official feature setup that I'm going to give to everybody in the masterclass. So, I mean, there you go. And that is how you start out at the beginning of the night and go to the end. Very simple, very effective. All right. Remember, you're just doing a couple of things. The really major changes that you're going to be making with the car as the track starts to slick off is you're going to make sure that you are doing things like stiffening the bar, right? Because remember, that's going to actually get some more weight to the right rear, dynamic weight. You're going to soften the rear end, reverse split, right? Couple little shock adjustments, and you're good. You're good. Move the right rear in, the left rear out. Bada bing, bada boom. You've got yourself a feature setup that you can take out and win at any track with. Literally at any track. Just change the gear and you're good. This is almost identical to what I ran at Eldora. And this is at Lanier. So it will work. It will work at a multiple tracks. And like I said, I'll have the base setup and the feature setup down in the description that you guys can download. Just download it and then upload or put it into your setups folder in iRacing and documents. If you don't know how to do that, just search it on YouTube, how to install iRacing setups, and you'll find a couple of videos that'll walk you through the process. It takes like less than 2 minutes, okay? But that's going to do it. Thank you very much for joining me. And really quick, do me a favor, if you like this, please hit that like button, all right? Smash it, step on it, jump on it, whatever it is that you do, but hit the like button. Also, make sure to subscribe and then hit the notifications bell so you get notified when I put out any more videos. And finally, if you race wing sprint cars this coming Friday and Saturday, May 15th and 16th, 2020, all right? Might be watching this sometime in the future. But if you want to take part in my charity race that I'm doing this Friday and Saturday night, I'm doing 305s, 360s, and 410s. Head over to wingsforhope.eventbrite.com. I'll have a link down in the description below. Head over and check it out. We're doing a charity race to raise money for the Ringer Podcast Network's World Central Kitchen GoFundMe page that they've got, and for the Hickey family GoFundMe page. So we're going to be raising money for that. It's an awesome cause, and we still are going to be able to actually pay out the top 5 in each class, right? And depending on how many drivers we get will depend on what the payout is. But if you want to actually take part in that, head over and check that out. All right. So that's going to do it. Thank you very much for joining me as always. And until next time, good luck, good racing, take care, and I'll see you in the next video. And until then, have a good one.